Hi, it's Craig Sigl here, the Mental Toughness Trainer, delivering to you life-changing strategies, training, and techniques to become fearless, direct your mind, master your emotions, and speed you along to your goals. Show notes and to stay connected to me are at mentaltoughnesstrainer.com with a link to all podcast episodes at the top of the site. All right, let's do this. Hi, and welcome back. This is episode 3 of the Mental Toughness Trainer podcast. My name is Craig Sigl, your trainer. And if you want to get a jump start on everything I'm doing, go to sportsmentaltoughness.com and take our mental toughness quiz, where you can laser focus in on your issues and the solution to fix them. All right, so this is episode 3, and we're going to continue on our journey here on the holy grail of change, how to get permanent or at least long-lasting change. And in episode 1, I talked all about the idea of being relentless as part of my RACE formula, R-A-C-E. R is relentless, A is awareness, C is clear, E is emotional mastery. That is the process I take. Everybody who comes to me goes through any of my work, and you're actually going through it right now listening to this podcast. So we have covered a lot about being relentless in the first 2 episodes. Here we're going to start getting more into the awareness, which also, by the way, builds relentless. That's right. Everything builds on each other and works backwards. When you learn more about yourself and how you operate, you get more confident that you can make changes. So the more awareness you can have, the more you feel in control of things. That builds confidence in your ability to make changes or get anything you want in life. The next part, clear, also builds on your awareness about yourself and your relentless. And emotional mastery just runs through it all. That's the RACE formula we use for everything we do. Now, moving on to the holy grail of change. In the last episode, we talked a lot about section 1. There's 3 parts to getting long-term change. 1 is being relentless in the belief that you can change, right? 2 is connect to the inner mind, and that's what we're going to talk about here today. We're going to give you details about your inner mind, how it works, how to connect to it. It's not always the easiest thing. Some people are more naturally connected. They don't know it. Now you're going to be able to take control of that mechanism. So let's talk a little bit more about the unconscious mind, or as I said in episode 2, the subconscious mind. I use the terms interchangeably. I like the term unconscious a lot better. I don't like the prefix sub because that tends to mean lesser or lower. So the conscious mind is that part of our mind that does all the thinking and decision and choosing, decision-making and choosing. All right, this leads us along our path of life. It gives us free will and free choice. That's willpower. That's your determination, right? The unconscious mind, on the other hand, is the other side of the coin that governs all of your automatic functions. It stores all your beliefs, values, what I call belief programs, which are networks of beliefs working together. The biology of this is they're just neural networks. They're your brain cells and your nerve cells and the communication with all other cells in your body. It is literally the collective intelligence of all the cells in your body. And its job is to keep your body alive. It doesn't care about your happiness, doesn't care about your goals, as it's subservient to running your body and keeping you alive. And we'll talk more about how that works together. All right. It stores all your memories, but even probably the most important function we care about with goal achievement and feeling how you want. Oh, I just gave you the answer. Is this regulates your emotions. So if you want to feel differently, then you've got to change the thing that triggers those feelings. Because the process is, event happens to us, right? That triggers thoughts, conscious thoughts or unconscious thoughts, that leads to emotions, which are nothing more than chemical releases in our body. We'll talk about that in later episodes. And that leads to feelings. The feelings then influence the behaviors or the thoughts we have at that moment. Is this kind of making sense? It's linear. And then it circles right back around to events. So what we need to do is not enough to just change our conscious thoughts. We've got to change our unconscious thoughts or programs. And as I said in episode 2, there is a block between the two that prevents this from happening. Some people call it the critical thinking faculty. And we have to have it because it keeps us knowing things that work for us, basically, at its real base level. If you don't have it, you'd be like a little child. Little children don't have this. That's why they call it the imprint period. And some psychologists say it's up to like 6, 7, or 8, where everything you think at the conscious level just sinks right on into the unconscious and becomes your programming until you go back down there and change it. Is this making sense? All right. So we have got to get through that block. And the number one way that I teach people how to get through that block and how to make changes at the unconscious level is to start with the idea, A, that you have an unconscious level, the unconscious mind. By the way, I didn't make this stuff up. This is discovered in the late 19th century by one of the first psychologists, William James. And it's not even disputed anymore in modern psychology. How to use it, how to connect it, now that's another thing, and that's what I'm going into. This is my experiences from tons of success with people who wanted to make this kind of change. So, like I said, the number one thing that I've taught people is just have that intention to connect to your inner mind. Knowing that you have one is half the battle. So whenever you're thinking about making a change, choosing and deciding to go a different direction, you want to have kind of in your entire being, all around you, through you, in the back of your mind, everywhere running through this overall thought that says, hey, I'm doing this at the unconscious level. I don't know how, I don't know why, I just am. Now, there's a simple way to make that a little bit more real, a little bit more powerful, and give you the relentless to keep this up. And it's this. Set up your unconscious mind like a separate you. You can call it a name. You can give it a name. You can give it a name like Charlie or Mary if you want. Or you can, I just say it's my unconscious mind. I'm just kind of stuck on that. And it's the metaphor itself that helps us make that connection. Metaphors and analogies are powerful tools to connect to the unconscious neurology. Okay? So whatever I'm going to be talking about here, whatever you have a thought to make a change, keep the intention, hey, I'm doing this at the unconscious level. That's it. That's the bottom line to this. Okay? The next big gateway opening that opens the door, that critical thinking faculty, that block. When I do this on a video, let me see if you can imagine this. I have a square at the top, and I write in conscious mind, and then I have a line underneath, and then another square at the bottom, and that's the unconscious mind. And imagine drawing an arrow from the conscious mind to the line that separates the two, and it stops right there at the line. So that's you, like maybe saying an affirmation. I am healthy, I am smart, I am a non-smoker, I am a champion. Well, if that thought doesn't get past the barrier, it's all for nothing. Your unconscious mind rules the day. It's far more powerful than your conscious thoughts and choices. Far more. Because it runs your body. So what we want to do is open that gateway. If I'm drawing on a whiteboard, I would erase the middle part of that line, and you could see the arrow then going through, connecting to the conscious, from the conscious to the unconscious. That's what this podcast is all about. I'm going to continue on giving you ideas, suggestions, and ways to make that connection, because that's step 2 in the holy grail of change, or making any kind of long-term or even permanent change. Okay? So knowing that your unconscious mind runs the body, one of the best ways to help get through that barrier is body awareness. Now, some people are already very bodily aware, and they have a huge advantage over the rest of us who are not. So if you're already there, this is just going to give you awareness that your focus needs to be on getting control of that open gateway. Because whenever you have body awareness, that is basically an open gateway. Your body is your unconscious mind. It's the collective intelligence of all the cells in your body. So, for those of you who are not body aware, let me give you a simple example of what I mean. It's like stepping into water. Maybe not really cold water, just water that's lukewarm, and feeling the water on your body and having a thought about it. Now that seems really simple, I know, but really being aware of it and thinking about that. Those people who have really sensitive body awareness, they feel their feelings. They know what I'm talking about. This is a great way to begin the process for everything you do in life. Noticing, hey, when I think this, what does my body feel like? When I'm sitting here, just being aware of what my body is feeling like sitting here. This sets up the connection between the conscious and unconscious. Because guess what? All feelings which emanate from emotions, the feeling is the actual bodily experience, right? All feelings come from emotions. Emotions are messages by your unconscious mind that you want to pay attention to. We'll get into more detail about that in later podcasts. But you need to start at the beginning here and just noticing what your body is going through more often and connecting your thoughts to what your body's experiencing. It's that simple. That begins the process of opening the gateway and having control over opening that gateway. I'll tell you, I went 40 years before I got what I'm telling you. I was so disconnected. I had no idea I had an unconscious mind. I was in depression. I was stressed to the max. I did not connect that it's the way I was thinking that was causing my issues. That I could think a certain way and that would generate emotions. And I could be aware that my thoughts were making those emotions and the resulting feelings. And that I was in this destructive spiral of thought, emotion, difficult feelings, stress, pressure, body destroying, more thoughts, spiraling all the way down. When I woke up by being at the bottom of the barrel and finding no way out, and somebody lended me a ladder to climb out, the help from others, which is what I'm offering you right here in this podcast. And I took that and got myself out of it. And I recognized, how did you do that? Well, I connected to my inner mind and I changed the programs. But first I had to make that connection, which is what we're all about here. So let's talk some more about that. Let me back up. Altered state is what helps you connect to the inner mind. So the number one altered state is high emotion. So most of us are walking around every day. Most of the time, we're not in high emotion. We're not in any big emotion, difficult or fun or otherwise. We're just kind of neutral most of the time. It's those times, though, when you have high emotion, that's what opens the gateway between the conscious and the unconscious mind. All right? Hold on to that. That is a principle we're going to use a lot. Because most of your programs happened when you were thinking during high emotional periods, on the fun side or the difficult side, usually more on the difficult side. And we have the ability to create emotion on our own for no reason, not waiting for some event to happen to us. We can do this out of nowhere, which opens the gateway, which gives us the opportunity to connect to our inner mind and tell it what it is we want our new beliefs to be, so that our future emotions come from that new belief, which are in line with our choices for what we want to achieve, how we want to live, our goals. Does this make sense? This is really the crux of the matter here. Events lead to thoughts, conscious and unconscious, which the unconscious mind then triggers emotions, which are releases of chemicals. The chemicals hit your body parts, creating feeling in your body. And that leads to more thoughts and behaviors. And then you come back around to more events influenced by those feelings you're in. That's why you can't think straight when you're in high emotion. You're literally parts of your brain are hijacked by those chemicals. I don't want to get too much into the biology, all that. The bottom line is you want to know how to connect. That's what we're about here. You can create emotion. I once went to a personal development training. These are people who teach, and it was really great stuff. And the way they helped us make change was to get us screaming at times, or crying, or doing everything they could to set up an experience where we would trigger our own emotions, which they knew darn well that opens the gateway. And whatever they're teaching then has an opportunity to sink in and change our programming at the unconscious level. Does that make sense? Now, those are great. You can go to those. They're all over the place. You know what? You don't have to. You can do your own, what I call ceremony. Now, native peoples all over the world from time immemorial know the power of ceremony. What does this mean? It means you set up a special event, a special time, something that's unique, something you don't normally do. Here's what I did when I wanted to make one particular change. And actually, it was when I was going from the corporate world to doing the work I do now, working with people in person. That was quite a jump. 20 years working for somebody, have all your finances met, medical benefits, families taken care of, all that stuff to, oh my goodness, now I'm going to be an entrepreneur. It's whether I can make sales or not, right? That was quite a jump. So I needed to change some inner programming so that I could do that fearlessly and with confidence, so I could be successful. Those are the emotions I needed to be successful in this new venture. You heard me say you need to get your emotions in line with what you want to accomplish. Your emotions come from your beliefs or belief programs. So what do? I set up this ceremony. I write down on a piece of paper all the doubts, fears, worries, all the issues that I thought were scary, just wrote it all out. All the negative thoughts I had about doing this, making this big change. Why I couldn't, why I'm not good enough, started so late in life, blah, blah, blah. Wrote it all down. And then I set it aside and I said, next week, Tuesday at 10 a.m., I'm going to have a ceremony about this. So I had like a week to think about this, to really build up, to really put some energy into Tuesday at 10 a.m. And when Tuesday at 10 a.m. came around, the whole house was empty. I got the place to myself. And so I start by just blasting my favorite music, which, by the way, is heavy metal music. Kind of stuck in the 80s. Sorry about that, for those of you who don't like that. But it's really pumping. It's really hard. And I made it loud. And I stomp around the house. I'm screaming with the songs. And I'm doing fist pounding and I'm yelling. And I'm picking up a baseball bat and hitting the ground and this cushion I had. And I've got movement, but mostly I'm generating huge emotion out of nothing from scratch. And I did this, I don't know, for maybe 20 minutes or so, until I was just worn out, completely worn out. Then I go take the piece of paper, and I go in the backyard, and I dug a hole. And I take the piece of paper, and I light it with a lighter. And I watch it burn up in front of my eyes there. I am definitely in an altered state. Now, don't get scared when I say this altered state thinking it's like drugs or alcohol or anything. No, do you understand? This is just doing what I just said creates an altered state. If you're crying because of something really sad, that's an altered state. This is all it takes to connect to the inner mind. And I'm putting all kinds of energy and intention and focus into burning off that stuff that was all the negativity. And I watch it burn. And I have that intention that I'm doing this at the unconscious level. In addition to, bringing up the emotions, which again opens that gateway. And it's with the intention to do this new career. And I watch it burn, and then I bury it. That metaphor of, I'm done. I'm done with all that. And boom, the next day, I get on the phone and I call up offices to share space with. I just open the phone book and say, I want to have an office in this general area. I ended up calling some massage therapists because I know that they usually only use their office part-time. I had like 4 of them. I went and visited like 5 of them or 6 of them, and like 3 or 4 of them were like begging me to share their office and pay them part-time. And within days, I locked one of them down and I had an office. I have no clients, but I got an office. You could say, well, Craig, you could have done that before. But you know what? My emotions were completely in line with doing that action, calling those people, and taking action and moving forward on something that is totally unknown to me. Ceremony. You could just go up to a mountain and scream your head off. I've done that for smaller things. You could get some people together and do something unique. Bring up emotion. Dedicate yourself or dedicate this event, this ceremony, to something you want to accomplish. Which leads me to, if you want to take it to the next level, an altered state, you can get into our surreal situations. What do I mean by surreal? Well, a perfect example is I wanted to do something else. I wanted to clear another mental hurdle I had about my business. I had been going for 3 years and I was doing okay, but I wanted to take this to another level. And so what I did is I signed up for skydiving. I'd never been skydiving before, and it scared the heck out of me. And I purposely went into it, not because I want to be scared, but because I wanted to achieve something new. I knew I needed to change some programs to get my emotions in line with what I wanted to do. I think it wasn't business, it was personal. I'd built my business. I was doing really well in it. I was happy, but my personal life was not going well. I needed to make some changes about, I was single at the time. And so I dedicated this skydive to getting over the fears of being in a relationship. That's what it was. And so I go through the whole thing. I'm just like, what is going on here? I'm getting in a plane. This plane is circling straight up. I've never experienced anything. I'm in total confusion. Everything is so surreal. And when they actually, you're strapped to a guy who's a professional. And so I just had to put my trust in him. And if you don't need to go skydiving. You can find something else that is surreal. It could just be, go-kart riding or something you don't normally do that's just way outside your norm. And it doesn't need to be scary. And as I'm falling from the sky, looking down at the earth coming up to me, you talk about surreal. I mean, having gone in airplanes many times, and now I'm falling out of one, that is, the whole time I'm screaming my head off, and I'm dedicating those moments to my new life is this. A wonderful relationship with a healthy partner. That's exactly what I did. I made it happen. Ceremony. The confusion that happens in surreal situations, confusion by itself is an altered state. It's like breaking up your old belief patterns. Your inner mind is like, whoa, what's going on? Your unconscious mind, whoa, everything I thought I knew about something is now destroyed by some new information that did get through. That's confusion. That's a great place to be for change. That's what opens up the inner mind to change. Metaphors work fabulous. Just thinking about a metaphor. For example, somebody will think things like, whenever I think of this, I just feel like stone. I feel tight like a rope. Did you hear that? Tight like a rope. In your mind, as you're going to sleep at night, you can connect your inner mind using that metaphor of a rope because it gave you that metaphor. And you'll hear your metaphors when you talk about them, or analogies, very similar. Stories help us connect to our inner mind. That's why I tell you stories. Everything I do here is with the intention of helping you connect. It's baked into everything I do. Change at the unconscious mind. You can make change going along the lines, you can connect your inner mind to make change through body awareness by going and getting a massage. That's really good body awareness and the relaxation that comes with it. Great time to do inner mind programming. As you go to sleep at night and as you wake up are great times to think about how you want to be different, how you want to change. Those are times when you're connected. I've heard really quickly a new study that says staring at someone else's eyes for 19 minutes or more creates an altered state. I've never done it up till now. I'm going to. But I totally can see how that would work. Total altered state. Ecstatic movement or dance is another way to have body awareness connect your inner mind. Really moving fast, really generating heat, energy, movement. Those things open up the connection to the inner mind. So it's what you're thinking while you're connected to your inner mind that makes the ultimate change. So prepare how you want to think before you make this connection, and then deliver it while you're connecting. That's the subject of the next podcast, which I call the antidotes. We'll talk about that in that next podcast. Everything I do is with the idea of helping you change at the level of the inner mind. You can read books all day long, and it won't have one bit of difference in the way you feel or align with the way you want to achieve goals. You can get information from people. It's just up in your head. If it's just up in your head and you haven't changed the unconscious programs, you won't do anything different. Our behaviors and our actions are guided by our emotions and the feelings that come from them. Confidence is a state of automatic thoughts and the feeling that goes with it. Determination is the same thing. It comes from, I want this, and it's so powerful that it drives me to take action. Everything is based on unconscious programs, and you've got to make that connection to your unconscious mind. I hope this has given you some suggestions. I do this for you in all my programs. Go check out my programs, mentaltoughnesstrainer.com. There's a link to products. I'll see you on the next podcast. This has been a blast. I'm Craig Sigl. Let's do this. Hi, it's Craig Sigl here, the Mental Toughness Trainer, delivering to you life-changing strategies, training, and techniques to become fearless, direct your mind, master your emotions, and speed you along to your goals. Show notes and to stay connected to me are at mentaltoughnesstrainer.com with a link to all podcast episodes at the top of the site. All right, let's do this.